Well, this poem is going to be called, or short story, it's going to be called How to Win Against an Omniscient Solitaire Grandmaster. Against the quantum voidless voids, harpooning the snow, the huskies, syndicalizing the Husky gas station in Williams Lake before a mahogany violet green and purple sky sunset as the snake charmers penteract the ignition of the turbulent aura, flimsy the flamboyant nightingales, polishing the revolvers between the moth-eaten psychedelic moons, leaping through the glens of a gigantic ashen dumpster as it twists into the quantum swamplands that only David Lewis dreams while chewing hashish. Bacchanalian through all the bronze billboards. Jane Austen, saber-toothed tigress, the foxgloves, the Nerescapes, somehow the locust and with metabolic thighs and redwood Pyrenees shoulders, dripping saline mutton chops and pyromaniac fires, geyser purple redwoods, bleeding the tumultuous taliswoman of Yukon at 2 a.m. on one December evening in the year 21010. Mount Robson, or Arcambulus Mount Robson, an Nerescapes of the peninsulas off the counterfactual shores of Nevermore, Narnia, Nauru. Sovereignty of the club-footed anarcho-capitalistic crawdads and craws. The geosophist and an ethnographical Tetris machine, perpetually weaving the alchemical visitations of this entrail of lachrymose, gigantic kaleidoscopic sea barnacles, etching in Sanskrit all the possible counterfactual gods who could exist beyond any theological absolution. The pinions and pintos play bocce through an ominous thicket where the redwoods tidal wave beneath Cottonwood Island as a tree is upturned up bank beneath the shallow icy frigid waters of the psychedelic quantum schizophrenic seas. From the hyper Platonic civilization of the 25th century, 2025 was carouseled by a gigantic metabolic wetware Godzilla. Our flimsy hordes are the bra straps of God's delusionary ecoscapes. Blastolis, the subatomic Planckian clocks that milk the satanic gorgons with their ochreous pine resin, that aperture the beetles, jumping between the intergalactic seas, foaming siderealizations beneath this torpidity, and all these gigantic gas stations and computer rooms where we put up our feet and watch the runways of the Monangian jungle koala face squared circles. And this iridescent fawn wriggled of its breast through the mudrony succotash skies, and the twisting of the field thanatology of all possible minds, gippered by the heat death of the omniverse, and these rhododendrons smack open the eternal recurrence of Nietzsche, the omniversal prophet, and all the gigantic anteater faced flamethrowers and honeysuckle-headed gorgon, honey badgers are snapping with the rhythmatic spermatic high heels, the flamenco baronco, and the sempiternal cornucopia of gigantic gigantic Googleplex stuffed in Cypress skyscraper. in my brain, and all that becomes is a Tamerlane and the Zelfane of these gigantic mirrors that hold up external solipsistic reality, and the Atlantides for the Bohemians, riding for their quantum chupacabra-headed Zamboni across all these skate and ice rinks as the post-human version of the Stanley Cup, where all the possible worlds. Philosophical zombies and boltzmann brains pucker a hockey puck through a gigantic entrail of a Gogo's redwood enclave, and the gigantic anti-Shakespearean dramaturgy. The Kestrel's underwear is a prima donna of thaumaturgy, and these bleeding solar iridescent, solar schizophrenic lampreys, and passing between the lanterns, that Jacinda, the jonquility of this nailed juniper crucifix, where the purple wind talons of the peregrinating falconer leap up into the Gaelic skies, where the black-billed magpies screech, but between the waterfowls of the Cambrian convivia of this millenarian nomenclature that seems to just gesticulate the gypsy Romanian Republicans, and the monastic monasteries of Hildegard of Bingen, and this ultimate thanatology endgame where post-humanity is the quokka engine that shuffles all possible anagrams across the omniverse, while these gigantic buck-eyed caribou pancreases and livers of the involutionism of these psychedelic bunkers and symbolique, where the hobgoblins saunter as they somnambulistically stroke the gigantic succotash beard of the Thales and Hypatia as they marry Bobby Fischer and Judith Polgar at an anachronistical altar, where the Sogo and Shangri-La hotels in Vancouver are hordes of Tellurian beached bracken cut pot roast, and these madronis as they petrify the lunar discs, wriggling to processional knotted dish soap claves, the Dijon mustard-headed Yeti backmasks for an omnitemporal duration, and these redwoods steepled at the church Rastafarian monasteries by Fraser Canyon and in the Chaco Lake, and this professional pathway to Scrabble having through the set of infinitely regressive pluriverses. It becomes the Columbiad question of why possible world movers exist at all, or pre-exist through an iron lung of crow and black-billed magpie psychophysical mechanics, and this topological regeneration of all possible worlds of womankind, and the somnambulistic jackanape headed Gorgon, Plato with purple skin and a neon green beard, and Hypatia with yellow irises and wildflower hair, and the skin of a garden, where all possible library of Mendelssohn's are the soteriological and homatologically of the quantum Mariologist, who slices the Mahatmas of these priestesses of impervious literaturist, and the high medicine to the time travel and for omnitemporal swim in conscious oceans. What does it mean to know all possible consciousness one day? The Urania is the boots. Sorry, the Urania is the bootstrap of a kamikaze of intimate, passionate kisses between the narrographies of alchemical, daemonic, futile chemistry of existentiality, and Kierkegaard is the palingenesis of this gigantic tarantulas stack of Dravidian magnolia wildflower-faced quaggas and zebroids and zedonkeys, and these Cephian Tellurian preternatural stingrays with pyromanic petrification, and all these opiate Panama stations where the infinitesimal Bibles and Qurans leap like beauteous melonscapes through the cheese graters, dripping the moth, twisted in the gigantic lamps of Forest for the World, baked in casseroles of gasoline diesel, and these gawkers that deflower the Timoris Lucretian Sasquatches and Chupacabras, and the cybernetic hydraulic Latin American Zapatia dos dances, as these satellite stations where Heidi Lamar is a mini golf player champion through the gigantic terrestrial wombs of all these phantasmagorical Doric Egyptological entomological presidents diagnosed with quantum schizophrenia. They spend the next century schizoanalyzing confabulation and meeting redwood trees.